make a new layer, and I make a 1000 pixel by 1000 pixel square and fill it with white. I duplicate the layer, move it to the right, and fill it with black. I duplicate both layers, rotate them 180 degrees, and move them into place. I group the layers and make sure the blending mode is set to normal. I export this as a PNG. I right-click and make a new material and open it. Add a texture object node and open the texture in the details panel. I then add a world align textures node, which will help the texture properly wrap around the object. I connect the texture object to the texture object input. I add a constant by holding down the 1 key and left clicking. I change the value to 100 in the details panel, and this will align it to the grid in Unreal. I connect this node to the texture size of the world align texture. I add a world position node and connect it to the world position input. If I plug the XYZ texture into the base color, I can now see my texture. I hold down the M key and left click to add a multiply node. I connect the XYZ texture to the A input of the multiply node. I add a vector parameter node and rename it to color, and this is what will allow me to change the color for material instances. I connect the vector parameter to the B input. I connect the multiply node to the base color. To see the texture, I change the default value of the material in the details panel to a midtone gray. To control the roughness, I hold down the 1 key and left click. I connect this constant node to the roughness input. In order to have access to the roughness in the material instance, I right-click and choose Convert to Parameter, naming it to roughness. I then save the material. Back on the level, I right-click on the material and add a material instance, which I drag onto the cube. I open the material instance and activate the roughness and color parameters. I can now change the roughness. A value of 1 is completely rough, and a value of 0 is completely glossy. I can now change the color, which will add a tint to the white part of the material.